G'day guys, how are we doing? Welcome to Walking Boxing. It is Friday, February the 7th, 2025. And got a little bit of feedback yesterday about the video that I did featuring Brock Jarvis and Jeff Fenech. A lot of people had their say, a lot of people with differing opinions. It's amazing when you just put a topic out there sometimes, the different points of view that people see. Now, there were some that said, good on Brock, it's about time, he was his own man and did his own thing, and he's a grown man now, and all the rest of it. There are others that said, well, he's a fool because he's got someone that really wants to look after him and is pretty much giving up everything to be by his side and to help him out, and this is why he's repaid a living legend. And look, again, there's all different sides, but as I said, yes, I won't dwell too much on it because I had my say yesterday. But my point of view is that, yeah, Brock is his own man, 27 years of age, and that's great. Excuse me, I've got an itchy nose there, and that's great. And maybe Jeff can be a little bit overpowering sometimes and a bit controlling. But my only advice to Brock would be is to at least have an alternative. As far as I know, he has no manager, has no trainer at the moment, but I'm sure that'll change. But he has no manager, so it's okay to say that maybe Jeff's not your person or your man, but maybe have someone else lined up who can take care of all that stuff, the managerial side, and and then you maybe can part ways. But at the moment, he's got a promoter, which is great. But the promoters, they put on the fights and get the best fights, probably more so for themselves rather than the fighter. And Brock at the moment, no trainer, no manager, no nothing. So anyway, best of luck to Brock. I hope he gets it all sorted out. But there has been also some comments that this shows, even with no limit, that they've just thrown him to the wolves, and Keith Thurman's just going to pretty much play with Brock Jarvis and knock him out, and it's just a tragic way for Brock Jarvis to be, well, maybe his career ended if it's done the right way, but let's hope not. Let's hope that Brock does get himself, if it is the case, another trainer, get himself a good manager, and who knows, no matter what happens with the Thurman fight, that he comes out the other side. And the thing is to remember, if he does pull off the win over Thurman, well, there's going to be so many doors that actually opened for him, won't there? There'll be the possibility of a Tim Tszyu fight down the track, and who knows what can happen there. And so, yeah, look, I think there's always a glass half full approach, but it's going to be interesting. I just don't like to see this play out in the public forum. That's the only thing I don't like. And the fact that actually Jeff commented about it without sort of a response from Brock was a little bit disappointing. And even the reporter that ran it, maybe he should have done a little bit more homework before he actually ran with the story and only interviewed Jeff. Maybe Brock actually said, well, I don't want to comment on it. I don't know, but normally the reporter would actually state that Brock was was contacted for comment and declined to comment. So anyway, we'll see what happens with that. Come on, buddy. Come here, man. Got a horse just being led up to the fence there. It's just distracted him. So anyway, we'll see what plays out there. Some other news now. As quick as it was on, it is quickly just as quickly it is off. Canelo and Crawford, if you can believe that. After all the build-up and the well, not really build-up, hasn't really been built up yet, has it? But after all the so-called announcements and speculation and reports that it was done, the fight apparently is now off. Now, the interesting thing about this is that... come here, buddy. Two little dogs there. I'll keep talking here. But yeah, according to the Ring magazine, this is the interesting thing about it. The Ring magazine are the ones that actually broke this story that Canelo and Crawford was actually happening. Now, of course, Turki Al-Sheikh owns the Ring magazine, so you would think that the news is creditable. But then last night or yesterday afternoon, whenever it was, the same magazine or website, whatever it is these days, reported that the fight was off. No reasons given. So it's a fascinating situation. Is it on? Is it off? Is it maybe? It just seems really strange that the Ring magazine would actually announce that all is set in stone. Both parties have agreed, and we've got a fight for September. Canelo will fight in May, and he'll fight Crawford in September. Pretty much a done deal. And this is not other sites sort of speculating and guessing. This is the Ring magazine saying it. Again, owned by Turki Al Sheikh, so it would be credible. And I don't know what's happened in 24 hours or 48 hours, whatever it was, but the same magazine owned by Turki is saying that the fight is off. So maybe, just wouldn't you have thought they would have sat down and maybe there would have been an indication that, yeah, we've agreed on purses, we've agreed on locations, we've agreed on the date. The date's probably the easiest one because it's always Mexican Independence weekend. Before they went to print, wouldn't you think they would have got half their ducks in a row before going to print? It's just very unlike all those parties concerned that it's been handled so unprofessionally. You know, I mean, we've all had speculation in the last few weeks, and that's great, but it's never been officially announced by anyone that would really be in the know. Then all of a sudden we do get someone in the know, the Ring magazine, and then a day later, the fight, or 48 hours, the fight is off. So, but the only bit of bad news is that the same magazine is also saying that it looks like the Jake Paul fight is on. So, was it yesterday or the day before we spoke about this, and I said, well, the great news is that Canelo Crawford is on. The bad news that the Jake Paul fight looks like it's on as well. And I did say, well, that I strongly doubt that the Jake Paul fight comes to fruition. It'll be the Canelo and Crawford fight will happen, but that won't. And here we are with the exact opposite. So your guess is as good as mine of what the hell is going on in Canelo Alvarez's camp at the moment. How could they possibly even entertain a fight with Jake Paul at this stage of his career? It just blows me away. And I'm just hoping that the Ring will backflip and announce that no terms couldn't be reached on a Jake Paul fight. Another thing I didn't actually mention the other day with Jake Paul, by the way, he fights at cruiserweight. So he fights at 200 pounds. Canelo fights at 168, 32 pounds the difference. So you may as well say 15 kilograms. What would be the weight in that situation? I would not think that Canelo would want Jake Paul to fight. I can't believe I'm even talking about this, by the way, but would let him fight at 200 pounds and have such a massive size advantage on Canelo. And Canelo I don't think would want to go up to, even if they had a catch weight of 190, to see Canelo at that weight with his physical dimensions, he'd look like a little round beach ball. It would just be crazy. So, yeah, look, I don't know. It's, again, I can't believe I'm even talking about it, but I just can't believe, again, that that fight could possibly be still on the table. And I suppose we're almost at the stage where an opponent will be announced. What is it, early Feb? What are we, 3 months away? So you would think within the next 4 weeks, that fight, well, a fight for that date will be announced. So, geez, for the sake of boxing and sake of all our sanities, let's hope that's not the case, because we do not want that fight. So, anyway, so that fight is off. Anyway, the Crawford fight I'm talking about. So let's see what happens there. One thing that actually looks like it is now going to happen. I quickly brushed on it the other day with Anthony Mundine taking up the rights to the bare knuckle fighting here in Australia, and it is legal in Victoria and Queensland apparently, but he's trying to get it legalised in New South Wales. Well, it looks like he's got his wish, because I did see it posted a couple of times yesterday on social media. There's a picture of the White House, the White Opera House in Sydney with the bare knuckle boxing's official logo and everything, saying coming soon, with the picture of the Opera House. So are we about to be inundated with bare knuckle boxing? I'm really interested to hear your thoughts. When I did a video about this a week or so ago, because I only sort of brushed over it, I want to know, is it a sport that you could get behind? I've really struggled to get interested in UFC, and as long as it's been around, I still can't get into it, except maybe when there's an Aussie involved, like a Whittaker or a who's the other guy, the little fella, little bald guy. You can see how much I know about it. I should know him. Whatever. You know what I'm talking about. Volkanovski. There you go. Sorry, and I'm not pretending here. I literally don't really follow it at all. I wouldn't mind actually getting this week's one though. They promoted that really well. The Du Plessis and Strickland fight. Big fan of Sean Strickland. I love the way he rolls. As I say, no F's given. Just he's the man, isn't he? Sean Strickland. So I wouldn't mind. Look, I might even get it. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. There's nothing else to do on Sunday, and if it's going to be hot, maybe I'll just put the air conditioner on and watch the fight. Anyway, but I've struggled to get my head around that, let alone two men or women getting in there and punching on with no gloves whatsoever. I'll say it again, I don't like it. I'm not going to, I for one won't be following it, but I can see how a lot of people will, and I think it'll be big business in Australia. Massive business in Australia. They got 15,000 or something in America, so I'm sure it'll be big. But what do you think? Give me your thoughts. I want to know, would you support bare knuckle boxing and go and watch it? Put me down as a zero, as a no. But actually, just on another subject too, talking about massive events. Yesterday it was announced, again I know I'm getting way off topic here, the NFL is coming to Melbourne. Can you believe that? Now, I've had my say on here before about the NFL. I'm not a fan. I think it is the most ridiculous sport I've ever seen. Went to see it in Dallas. I was all excited. I've never really watched it on TV, but I thought, well, I'm in Dallas. We've got to go. We were all the same, the family. We've got to go see an NFL game. Dallas Cowboys, New York Giants, two big teams. America's team, one of the other biggest teams in the comp in New York. Went to see it, 80,000 people, Thanksgiving Day in Dallas at the stadium. The cheerleader girls were out. The event was absolutely out of this world. And then the game started. I've never been more bored in my life. I sat there for 2 hours to watch a half of football, by the way. A half for 2 hours and left at half time. To which I know a lot of NFL fans were absolutely horrified. But all that aside, my thoughts on the game don't count. The fact that we've got a game here in Australia, and better yet at the mighty MCG, the best stadium in Australia, is just massive. And for all the criticism I've given the current government, they have hit a home run with this. So I respect where it is due. Yeah, the NFL to Melbourne, a massive coup. The Victorian government beat out, I think it was Sydney and Perth to get the game. It was always going to be at the MCG. I mean, unbelievable stadium, right in the centre of the city, 100,000 people. Yeah, couldn't be anywhere else in Australia. But again, everything aside with the current government and the fact that we're not talking about boxing here, I just think it's a massive coup for Australia and as I said, especially Victoria. So looking forward to that one. Will I go? No, I will not. But I just think it's fantastic to have here in Australia. All right, one other thing. What was I going to talk about? Oh, yes, I wanted to have a quick chat about our man at middleweight, Janibek Alimkhanuly. Now, he has been announced he's going to fight in Kazakhstan in... What was it? In April the 5th, I think it is, against an opponent I have no idea who it is, to be honest. I can't pronounce his last name, which is the case a lot these days with the elite fighters in the world. They seem to be taking over all those European countries, don't they? But I'm a bit worried about Janibek Alimkhanuly. I mean, he's such a massive talent. He can punch. He's just a very, very good fighter, very Golovkin-esque. Now, he's 31 years of age and never had a meaningful fight, and I was really hoping that this would be the year. I know he had to come to Australia and blow out Mikhailovich, I get that, but I would have thought this year he would have moved on to some bigger things. And it's great that he's fighting in Kazakhstan, don't get me wrong. I reckon that's fantastic for him and that country. But the opponent, is it Anuli? So I can't pronounce his last name, but just an absolute no-name. And the fact that he's had, what's he had now, 17, 18 fights, whatever it is, and never had a meaningful fight at 31 years of age, I just think and worry that we're going to have a serious case of untapped potential. He's so entertaining, not so much marketable. He doesn't really say anything at all, and I don't think I've ever seen an expression other than just stony face. But look, he's got that ability to draw in the crowds. And look, we haven't even seen him fight like maybe a faded ex-champion or I know the middleweight division, by the way, is absolutely barren at the moment. But we've got Carlos Adames, Hamza Shiraz, good fight. Even Lara and Garcia, okay, it wasn't probably the best fight out, but at least Lara was fighting somebody, you know. So, and Garcia was a name, but I don't know. Yeah, I just worry that Janibek is just going to be, all of a sudden he's going to be 33, 34 years of age and has just done nothing. His career will be over and he'll just be forgotten about. So he's just too talented, too hard and too tough for that. So the ball's in his court, I suppose. And one last thing I just sort of want to have a quick chat about is, and it's probably a little bit, well, it's definitely off kilter as far as what we've been speaking about with boxing, but I'm not sure, if you're not an AFL fan, you probably won't know, but this week AFL football has lost 3 ex-players or coaches to suicide after mental illness, and it's just devastating. Now, again, if you're not an AFL fan, you won't know about this, but it doesn't matter whether it's AFL, NFL, boxing, whatever it might be. I just sort of worry a little bit about current society, where we've covered every other cause, subject, whatever it is. We've addressed so many different things these days in society, but one thing that we haven't addressed at any stage, I don't think, is the mental health of men. Men just seem to have just been forgotten and shrugged off and deemed almost irrelevant, really. I mean, as I said, all the different causes that have been out there and campaigns and everything else, which is great, don't get me wrong. It is great that we're identifying things that are wrong in society and doing something about it. But I just worry that men are being forgotten about. And, you know, there is the campaign, what is it? I'm not sure it's a campaign, but it's really a slogan of it's not weak to speak, and I 100% agree with that. And I know it happens a lot in boxing too, and you know, football, of course, in all codes gets all the news, but I know it happens in boxing as well. That after, I'm just talking about athletes here, by the way. I know it goes into full society for different reasons, but I'm just sort of reflecting on one sort of component of it at the moment, and that, you know, if you look at sports people, they're just very, very quickly forgotten. Even the superstars, just pretty much, while, you know, whether it's by the clubs or the fans or whatever it is, they are just very quickly forgotten about and left to their own devices. And a little bit different with boxing sometimes, because it's an individual sport. The fans are always there. They'll always get mobbed wherever they go. But what happens outside those times? There's no support. I've talked about this before. There's no support for boxing, for boxers out there. They have no probably education coming up. They have no one teaching them how to manage money or investments or anything like that. And then it's over. And once the promoters and the managers and everyone have done with them, they just get discarded and thrown away like trash. And I've seen it firsthand with a lot of ex-great boxers, and it's sad, who have just been left on, you know, to their own devices. And again, this week with the AFL. Players who, look, at the end of the day, by the way, players have still got to be accountable for their own actions. I get that, but a lot of them players of CTE with the concussion and everything as well. And I know there's only a certain extent that the clubs can actually help the players, but it's just sad that these players have just sort of been again discarded and have fallen on hard times, and even not falling on hard times, just mental health in general. And I know it's a wide scope, a wide ranging sort of thing, this issue, but I just, again, with all the different causes that are out there, the one thing that's never really been addressed, I know there is like some sort of mental health week, whatever, but I think it's very much a token gesture. I want to see some real action. And I know in the broader society, this is outside of sport, you know, it could be access to kids. It could be simply the pressures of providing for a family, and men can't do it. Whether they just don't earn enough money or whatever it is. But and by the way, I don't have the solutions here, by the way, of just how to click the fingers and make it all better. But I just know that in just all the different, whether it be going to a game of footy or watching it on TV or whatever it might be, I just never hear anything said about, hey, let's look after the blokes out there. Let's just identify it. Let's give them some support. And I know we have the whole check on your mate thing or whatever it is. Are you okay? And I know that's great, but I think we just need more than that. And I don't know all the answers to this. All I know is in my opinion, I just don't think there's enough being done about the mental health of men. Okay, and I'm not trying to be sexist or forget about the women out there. I know there's a lot of women that do it tough too, but I'm talking about the men at the moment, and just the rates of suicide and everything is just out of control at the moment. And yeah, I just don't think enough's being said. And one of the guys that unfortunately took his life this week, I actually knew. He was a Bendigo guy. Only knew him briefly as I worked at Footy Club in Bendigo in 2001. He was a 17-year-old kid, Troy Selwood I'm talking about. He was just a young kid on the cusp of getting drafted. Seemed like a happy-go-lucky kid. Even in the AFL world, had a good job, good prospects coming up, but no one knew what was going on behind closed doors. And and whether it's Troy or whoever, doesn't matter who it is. I just think there needs more to be done. And again, I'm not exactly sure the exact way it can be done, but I'm sure there's some smarter people out there with me with a lot more money than me and ideas and everything else that could maybe do something. Maybe it's an ex-players union or something. This is the sports I'm talking about, a boxing union or something. Again, I've spoken about this in the past, but that's probably not the main thing. It's just in general life, and we need to do more. Thoughts and to all the families involved this week, and to all families out there that have had this happen to them. And I know there's probably, everyone knows maybe someone or been affected by this happening to someone out there, and I don't care who it is, whether it's sport or just general life. I just think more needs to be done. But anyway, just my little 2 cents there, guys. I don't want to sort of end on that note, but look, have a great Friday. And look forward to catching up with you tomorrow. See you then.